Hey, today I'm joined by Anthony from StudioHawk. They are a SEO specialist digital agency based in London and the headquarters are in Australia. StudioHawk was set up in 2015 by Harry Sanders and they've grown considerably over the years to now have over 55 employees across their two sites. Anthony, who's our guest today, came to London in 2019 to set up StudioHawk UK, and that's grown the agency from scratch to now a team of 9. Today we're discussing the journey to the UK, Anthony's love for his adopted home, and the good and the bad of running an agency. So Anthony, without further ado, mate, for people who don't know who you are, tell us a bit more about yourself.
Oh, thank you very much, Luke. It's good to be here. So yeah, I'm Anthony, co-founder and MD of StudioHawk UK, an SEO-only agency. So my background is pretty much not a digital one at all. So I came from a sporting and hospitality background and worked in a pub for 6 years and a nightclub and stumbled upon this junior SEO role back in Melbourne all these years ago. And I thought, that's digital, that's online, that'll be around for the next 10 years. And it was an early job at StudioHawk under Harry, 2 days a week, and then it grew. And mate, and 6 years later now, running an agency and being thrown in the deep end in one of the hardest markets in the world. So yeah, great fun.
Wow, that's a big change, right? Going from hospitality, nightclubs into agency world.
100%.
There's definitely some similarities there, obviously, as well.
Dealing with people, having difficult conversations, working some late nights. So yeah.
Loving it. Very good, mate. Very good. So just tell me more about sort of the clients that you look after and some of the sort of campaigns you've successfully sort of ran back in the past as well, please.
Yeah, so looking at us, because of the way Corona has panned out, we got a lot of e-commerce clients because a lot of people had to realize they've got to get online or not be anywhere. So the way it's fallen, a lot of our clientele are e-commerce in the men's fashion, women's fashion, skincare, beauty, and dog food ranges. So got a lot of experience on those, on Shopify and some of those platforms, and just trying to build up their presence on search. Some of the good campaigns that we've worked on are like women's fashion campaigns who have been shortlisted for European Search Awards and UK Search Awards over the last couple of years. Looking to bring one home soon. So yeah, e-commerce is brilliant because 60-70% of your traffic is pretty much going to be SEO. A lot of the time it'll also be social, be a big chunk of that. But with e-commerce, people are searching for your products and they don't know the brand name. So SEO is a real big driver for these guys. So that's why it's great to help these guys out. Yeah,
absolutely. And like your relationship with them, like talk about how you work as an agency, like with your clients. What's your sort of process usually like when you're, I guess, winning and onboarding clients as well?
Yeah, so when we're winning clients, the way we've grown and built here in the UK is through building relationships with web developers and other agencies because we only do SEO. So people aren't scared off by that. We only do the one thing. We're not going to take business away from them. And in the UK, there's enough business to go around. So we're able to win business by building a reputation, word of mouth, referrals, and being able to get business that way. And when we're onboarding them with the e-commerce site, these ones are great. Because we're able to with e-commerce, you've got a bit more numbers and a bit more, you can do projections, you can give them a bit of a reference point with e-commerce because it's money, it's revenue, it's transactions. So when you're winning them over, you're able to showcase or at least give them a bit of a forecast. Because with SEO, it's very hard for a lot of people to guarantee results, or you can't really guarantee results into that. So with e-commerce, it's a bit easier because it comes down to like money and transactions and sales. So that's why I like e-commerce. So that's on the onboarding bit where we try and showcase that sort of reference point and try and win them over there. And that's how we get that business. When we're working with them, we're a bit different because you're working directly with the specialist. So it's not like we have an extra, like we have those layers of like an account manager and then you've got the SEO squirreled in the basement somewhere. The SEOs are the ones that you're talking to. So they are the ones that are working with me on helping to win these clients. They are the ones that are working on these proposals. The people are seeing these SEO specialists. They're speaking directly to the experts rather than going through a layer of account managers and that sort of that meat in the sandwich that doesn't need to be there. So that's how we're different.
Is that a StudioHawk like thing across the board? So there's not that sort of client services team your SEO people have got to be confident when speaking to clients as well?
Yeah, 100%. So we train our people to, work slowly and develop them as account managers, as being SEO leads on these campaigns. So it's a bit by bit process. Because we train people from the ground up, we're able to, throw them in the deep end, but with a bit of safety around them, and give them tasks and bring them on calls. So that by the time, you hit 6 months, a year, they're leading calls because we've just taken them step by step. So yeah, we don't have that sort of account manager level, and we get to work directly with them.
Nice. Really good. What's sort of the biggest challenges you've come across? Like, again, this can be you coming to the UK as well, of course. Like, what's sort of the biggest things you come across?
I think personally, it's coming to a country that I've never been before, moving out of home, moving out of the nice bubble that is Melbourne and the easy life, and coming to the UK, which is not only it's one of the hardest countries, one of the biggest cities, a lot of people, a lot of competition. People come here to make their dreams come true or experience the failure. It's a city where you can be who you want to be and do what you want to do, and that is a challenge in its own right when you're trying to start an SEO agency in this country, where you've got some of the best and brightest SEOs, agencies, people, but then in-house talent as well. They're a bit more adept at digital marketing. They understand it a bit more. They're sharper than say what we've got in Australia. The UK is, I'd say 9-12 months ahead of Australia. So you're going up against some of the biggest and best here.
Yeah.
So that's the hardest thing from probably a personal and business perspective. For me, I've been able to grow the business, but it's sort of just like you learn as you go. So growing the business through Corona, you're like, what the hell's going on here? How am I going to get these clients? How am I going to meet these people? How am I going to do it? And I just took it one day at a time, as cliche as that is. I made my list, I spoke to people, I emailed people, I got the work done, and then just built that reputation up organically, and were able to grow it through Corona. Granted, Corona was a bit of a help for digital agencies because people need to get online, but that challenge of growing a business where you've never done it before, in a country you've never been to before, in an industry that has some of the best and brightest in the world, yeah, it's no easy feat, I'd say.
No. And why, I guess, like, did you put your hand up when like the opportunity came around? Like when Harry said, we want to go to UK, you're like, yeah, I'll go, let's go London. How did that happen?
It was a bit of a mix. So the original plan back in 2019 was we were probably going to come to the UK in 21, 22, but it worked out personally that my partner, she was moving over and I was going to move over. And we just had the conversation of, look, we do want to do this. It's not going to when the risk is not that, it's not like we're sending a full team out there and all this. It was just literally, here, Anthony, go. So yeah, I thought, why not? So I took on that opportunity because otherwise I didn't want to really get another job anywhere else. So I took on that opportunity and just it was a great sort of challenge and learning experience for me to be like, oh, can I do this and put a roof over my head and earn a wage and get clients and do all that stuff that I'd done bits and pieces of it, but Harry was the real lead there in Australia. So for me to, it's all on you. You've got to do it, and you really get to find what you're sort of made of, and you realise, oh, I actually can do this. So yeah, it was a bit of personal, but then also professional as well. But the personal really spurred it on.
Love that. That probably leads quite nice into my next question. Really. Like, why do you love what you do? Like, why? Yeah, what is it about SEO that gets you up every day, and in particular to StudioHawk as well, of course?
Yeah, I think SEO is a channel where you actually have to earn. You have to earn it. You have to really, you not only have to be good at technical SEO and make a really pretty website, you have to create content and value that people will actually want to find and Google deems valuable to then put on their search results. And then you've got local SEO, so you have to understand location-based, international SEO, so you have to understand different languages and different cultures and how they talk over there. I like all the different elements because while within SEO there's so many different elements within it, what you do with an e-commerce business compared to, say, a lead gen professional service business is completely different. Different target markets, different way of writing, different maybe page structures, different elements. So there's so many things that go into SEO that are always keeping you on your feet. While title tags are the same, sort of doing the tasks. Well, for an e-commerce business, there's a different style, different method, different way of speaking versus a lead gen sort of professional service. So that's what I love about SEO. And then at StudioHawk, I've been lucky enough to build a life and a career at StudioHawk, and what my goal is here is to give that opportunity to people. We've done it with 55 people across across the two companies so far, and being able to give those people, whether it's their start, whether it's giving them, I was at a crossroads back all those years ago working at a pub, and I thought this is great, and I was able to get that structure and learn without going to uni, and I hope that we've been able to do that with over 55 people. We're building them from the ground up with no experience and giving them their shot to kickstart a life and a career. And StudioHawk is a place to do that. So yeah, that's what I'm proud of.
It's pretty incredible, to be fair. Going from that to where you are now, it's pretty incredible, mate.
No, thank you. It's been a journey, but we're still going.
I bet it has. I mean, that might lead us pretty nicely into you. We talked about the Hawk Academy, right? Tell me more about that. How does that all work?
So Hawk Academy is something that was really spearheaded by Harry, and it took, he's the real face of it. So Hawk Academy is a learning and training platform with videos, modules, quizzes that we train all our juniors on, partner with universities, and then give to all our clients. So you're able to learn SEO from the ground up, and it goes from basic to advanced SEO. So we've been able to really leverage that as a training platform, and being able to get the StudioHawk name out there. So that's been really good and also to improve the education around the industry, because with SEO, it's not like it's not like the medical field where there's a standards association. You go to university for it and all that. SEO, what works for one website doesn't work for another one, and people all have their different methods, and there's so many different platforms. There's one human body, but in digital marketing, there's 400 different types of platforms to build a website. So that's the real challenge. So what we want to do is build that education piece around it, and really tell people what it's about.
Nice. Okay. So the Hawk Academy actually has been developed during your time there. You wasn't I guess you almost one of the first ones on that, right? From internal point of view, and now you've used it as a training method to externals as well.
So I learned the long way. I learned just by looking at websites and working on clients, and from Harry, and doing your own reading and learning. But now the team for the last probably 2.5 years are lucky enough that we've got Hawk Academy, so you can literally run through that, which is nice. Theoretical knowledge, and you get the videos and modules and quizzes, which is great, but then they can really put that into practice on the clients, because SEO, it's like football. You could read about kicking a football all you want, but until you actually kick a football, you're not going to be any good at it. So same thing with SEO. You can read all about it, but until you jump into a website and actually do that, you're not going to really know. Yeah,
it's very true. Yeah, and I've always found SEO, when you speak to people who are in SEO, they absolutely love the technical part. I think if you're going to be in SEO for a long time, you've got to really love the data, the technical side. You've got to really actually get that vibe and buzz through, don't you? If you don't have that element, it's a good short-term job, but people who actually thrive and become absolute experts have got that little bit more, I guess. Is that what you've sort of seen as well?
Yeah, I think you've really got to be inquisitive, investigative, and not let a problem beat you with SEO, because you might fix one thing which leads to another, or you're doing really well, and then all of a sudden a new competitor comes into the space and you've got to go again. So technical SEO has gotten more popular. I think a lot of people didn't realize or didn't want to, because they thought it was too technical and too nerdy, but it's become such an important part of it. So technical SEO is one. I think that's growing in popularity, but the content side, rather than your just run-of-the-mill 1,000 word blogs filled with nothing, it's being able to think bigger in terms of what the business does, who they're trying to target, who's their ideal customer, and how can we curate really good content to target those specific customers and bring them in so that they can buy or engage with us. So the content's really the one where you can, even if you weren't in SEO, but you understood content and how it works, that works for social media, it could work for paid ads, it can work for a lot of things. So if you've got that sort of understanding. So they're the two biggest things. Technical's got more popular, but content's gotten a lot more smarter, and you got to work harder for it.
And also Google has also changed the way that the SEO sort of looked at as well, hasn't it? You can't just put a good content post out or blog post with loads of keywords and hope that'll be enough. There's so much more to it, because Google's changed the landscape over the last few years.
100%. The most recent one, and a lot of people don't think about this, but when you explain it to them, then they're like, oh, I get it. Google, the last 4 or 5 years, has been really working on authority. So understanding who's writing that content.
Yeah.
So it's called, the acronym is EEAT, which is experience, expertise, authority, and trust. So what Google's essentially trying to do is, are you who you say you are? And if you're writing content, can you back this up? So, you know, for example, you'll have a call with someone and be like, hey, I've been working in this trade for 25 years. All right, cool. That's your real life authority, but where is it online? So for example, where is your About Us page? Where's your individual team page? Where's your education, qualifications? Who are you? Who are you? You say you are who you are. Well, prove it. Put it on your website. So think of it as like your little Wikipedia, your little bio, to then give you the credit and validity, so that Google can see that and people can see it and go, oh, these people actually know what they're talking about, and that gives a bit more weight. So that authoritative piece is a real big one, and becoming a topical authority in your field, in your niche. So creating content, really good content around certain topics. So, for example, you're working in e-commerce recruitment. So, being a topical authority around that, creating content around that. So, e-commerce is made up of so many different channels. You can create content around that. Who is Luke? What did he do? Where did he go to school? What are his awards, qualification? That sort of authoritative piece, which you would say in a normal sort of lead call, but having that on the website. So that's what we're trying to get across to people. Because people buy from other people. So if we don't have that sort of authoritative piece, it doesn't help Google, but it also doesn't give people the proof and the confidence. You're not going to go to a back alley doctor. Exactly. Harley Street's got the reputation it does because it's Harley Street. It gives a bit more credibility and a weight to it, for example. So you're going to go to a doctor that has all the PhDs and has all the experience. Same thing with the website.
So true. Yeah, I'm learning all that as we go now as well. Like with the new website, we've got obviously the SEO piece is a huge focus for us at the moment because of that organic element and being able to be found for the right things rather than, that content element is so important, as you say, and I'm learning that every day at the moment, which is good, but it's all good fun. Okay, cool. And then, and one of my other questions was going to be around what differentiates StudioHawk. I think we've sort of gone through that in good detail anyway around actually you speak to your actual specialists who are working on your actual websites, and that gives that different sort of weight, isn't it, in terms of actually understanding, okay, I'll come to Anthony for this because that's my guy, basically.
100%. We do one thing, we do it well. That's all we care about, and we like to work with other great specialists in their fields and all work together. We do one thing, we do it well.
Yeah,
and that's SEO.
And partnerships, then, you've talked about this. So, has that been your core success? I guess part of how you've grown the UK arm in the time you have done. Has that been that element? Has been your main focus?
Yeah, so I haven't really got that formalized in terms of proper partnerships because I'm the partnerships manager, and but it's more friendships. It's just building friendships, building relationships, going networking, getting to really understand these people, catching up with your friends. Because in agency world, there's a lot of good people, so you can really build some good friendships. I know the Norwich crew that you're a part of got some good friends up there, and I pride myself on trying to really make an effort to travel and go around been to Manchester, been to Leeds, been to Norwich and Brighton and a fair few places to go and meet those other agencies, whether it be through my own back or other networking sort of things. Because there's a lot of good people out there, and I think they appreciate the effort, and you get to really know people. They get to essentially make friends. And then I'd rather pass business to a friend that I know and can trust than someone who's a random. So that's why that's why we've built it, and being able to build those relationships and get those referrals from essentially, I would class as friends. Yeah,
good. I guess that leads on to the event and the agency social club that you and Stokely have created. Tell a bit more about, I guess, how that came across, the events you've done previously and upcoming ones as well, please.
Yeah, so Agency Social Club, so Stokely started to come down here a bit, and he's a good bloke, and I love him. And what happened about probably
don't say it too loudly. We can't get.
I'll build up the ego a bit more, but shout out to Adam as well. So with Agency Social Club, it was probably this time last year where honestly, I'm part of too many networking events. So I just got annoyed in Stokely. It was like, look, I really want to start doing a bit more time in London. And what do you think if we started, like, there was nothing really like it anymore in Shoreditch. I think there was 1 year ago. Stokely was like, look, what if we did an event together? And I live in Shoreditch. We've got the office here. We've got the lay of the land. There's a fair few agencies around here, creative, digital, and marketing agencies in this sort of area. What if we did an event that targets only agencies? And he was like, oh, okay, awesome. So he was a real big driver of that, and be able to help me, and I learned from him because he's that way inclined. He's run a few events with like Gen E and stuff. So it was good. And then we're looking at our third one on the 14th of September in Shoreditch, where we're just getting essentially friends and agencies down to have a good night, have some food. Got a bar in the heart of Shoreditch on a Thursday night just to meet some other people, and you'll see some familiar faces there. So that was the goal. It was pretty much running an event in our own backyard because we were part of so many other networking things. We're like, can't be bothered with this. So we just did our own thing and have it in our backyard. So that's the Agency Social Club. Love
that. And there's been 2 events previously, as you said, and they were hosted earlier on this year, right, in terms of the first 2?
Yeah, so the first one was November last year, and then the second one was April this year, because we got pushed by train strikes, and then this one's upcoming in September for our third one of the year.
Love that, and I'll be joining you, mate. So I'm looking forward to that as well. I've not been to them before, so I'm looking forward to being there.
Come on down.
Good man. And the other thing we've talked about is the London Tech Meetup as well. Like, again, for anyone who doesn't know what that is, what is the London Tech Meetup?
So London Tech Meetup is with a wonderful friend of ours, Radek from Adamap. The goal with that was probably a bit more intimate, targeting like CEOs, founders, and more retail sort of types, where we're doing a bit more presentations, a bit more speaking, maybe a panel. So I've done a presentation there. One of Radek's team's done a presentation before. We get food, we get drinks in St. Paul's, and it's a bit more of a intimate sort of meetup, I would say.
Good, great location as well. Shoreditch is. Well, especially for e-com and that sort of tech sort of world, it's the beating heart, isn't it, really, I must admit. And obviously St. Paul's is just a great sort of area in terms of lots of good like bars, locations to meet up, and who knows where the night leads, I guess, afterwards.
100%, well, especially for Shoreditch then, there's been a couple of late nights and the previous events, so but it is good fun. That's what we want. For me, I like to play, when we're playing the host, everyone has fun. Everyone gets to meet some people and just enjoy it, because sometimes as founders you just don't have enough of that. That was probably another reason with the Agency Social Club, is that there's a lot of like these, shake your hand, business card type of we're here for business sort of thing. Yeah. While we wanted to try and do something that was a bit more fun. It's like Cheers, the TV show. You go in there and it's like some friends. People will know who you are, and you get to hang out. So that's what sort of like the goal is.
It's a much different way of doing it, isn't it? Because I've been, you wouldn't tell, obviously, Anthony, but I've been around doing events for a number of years, let's say. I'm only mid-30s, believe it or not, but so I've seen everything, the good, the bad, in terms of other events, but the way that e-com in particular, right, like the Collab Club does a great sort of job of this as well, and obviously the Gen E stuff you've talked about as well, but just a bit more, it's like chilled, maybe, I guess you'd probably say. It's less, let's not sit around a breakfast table and stand up and pitch for 2 minutes and pass cars left and right. And it's just much more like, collaborative. Let's work together. What are your challenges over there? Like, what are you finding? And just makes it so much better, doesn't it, in terms of those long-term relationships piece.
100%, and that is exactly the goal. Just having fun, meeting some friends, meeting some people. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, having a beer, a bit of food, and talking shit, basically, right?
Pretty much.
We've done pretty well. Got through 20 odd minutes of no swearing. I feel like you've wanted to once or twice, but you've held it.
It is bad, but it's part of our vernacular, and it's just it's something I have to keep an eye on, to be honest.
No need in this, mate. You can say within reason most of them, so don't worry about that at all. This leads on really well, mate. Like, in terms of, if you were describing the culture within StudioHawk, like, how would you describe, going back to the business element, right, rather than just the other sort of stuff that we love talking about, like the culture of StudioHawk, how would you explain it?
What I'm trying to build here is something where people can value what they do and they enjoy coming to work, and they can go, I can see myself building a career through SEO and being able to build yourself as a leader and being able to lead on calls, lead on clients, those life skills. So it's a bit of a collaborative, a fun sort of value. I hope that, we're building a valuable environment for people. Yes, we're a small business here, and Australia's got a fair few more people, and they're able to do more of that sort of big business type stuff. But what we're trying to do here in the UK is give people an opportunity, give people a shot who didn't think they would be doing what they're doing, who didn't think maybe they're not a leader, maybe they're not, they didn't think they'd be talking to clients, they didn't think they'd be doing this stuff, but they can. So being able to foster that sort of culture of belief, being able to, they can actually do it, or being able to, my people actually realize that they can do things that they never thought they'd do before. So along with all the other, adjectives and fun and energy and vibrant, all that type of stuff. But yeah, it's more of for me, it's a bit deeper. It's like, I want to try and give these people a shot and give them an opportunity to really do things that they never thought they'd do before. And StudioHawk is a vehicle by which that happens.
Love that. And I know you've recently just going through that process of hiring another junior to join the team in London. What are your key attributes you're looking for then? If someone walks in, they've had no SEO experience, or they have had been to university, have done more of a an English sort of type of degree or whatever. What are your key things you're looking for to almost mold and build that next SEO specialist within StudioHawk?
So for me, and I say this on the calls to the on the interviews as well, we're looking for someone who's investigative, inquisitive, who loves a challenge, who won't let a problem beat them, because that's SEO. Like SEO, you're going to be throwing challenges and you need to figure out what they are and beat them. Who is, loves to work with other people, the energy is there, vibrant, we're not a sort of work from home, quiet, mute sort of team. SEO is a collaborative sort of thing where someone's done something on one client and you want to try and share that knowledge. So yeah, and the other term is probably getting comfortable being uncomfortable. So whether that's new challenges, that you've got an annoying email from a client, or I have to figure this thing out on a WordPress website that I haven't done before. So yeah, really loving a challenge. They love to, they have pride in their own name, and when somebody sees their name, you want them to think that's bloody good work. So yeah, that's some of the attributes and things where you don't have to be in SEO or digital marketing to have those sorts of attributes. Yeah.
Love that. It's really good. It's nice and refreshing almost as well to hear that, because obviously in recruitment you hear a lot of, I'm only going to take somebody if they've got direct experience or whatnot, but you're never going to grow a new pool of people if you don't at least have that drive or even ability to teach and to want to sort of pass on the next that knowledge as well, right?
Exactly. So yeah, that's what we want to try and do, because we're building up from no experience. We want to try and build them up and be able to teach them these skills. Some of them they'll have, because we get people from hospitality backgrounds or retail backgrounds or customer service backgrounds that have had to do it in another sort of way. But those types of soft skills are really valued.
Nice. Okay. And in terms of your onboarding for new employees, what does that look like for yourself when you're onboarding someone into the business?
It's a growing process, but we have Hawk Academy to start them on. We like to get them in the office and have early lunches. So every junior on their first day, we take them to Blue's Kitchen.
Love that.
And absolutely put you in sort of a food coma on your first day. So that's what we do, and then go through the step by step. We really ease them in. So just getting them on Hawk Academy, getting them on the tools. And then I like to take a sort of Mr. Miyagi approach of task by task. Yeah. So here's a little bit of here's one task here, here's one task there. And then after month 4, 5, 6, they'll be like, I can understand how this all fits together. At the time, they'll be like, what's this blog title thing? What's that? What's this? And it's getting them to learn, but then you start to put it all together. Yeah.
So not quite wax on, wax off element. It's more... No.
Bit by bit. It's here's this task, here's that task. But then by the time, just in the Karate Kid at the end, he's like, why am I waxing these cars? And then he realizes, that's why. So like the keyword research and meta titles and blah, 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 where they might not know the technical terms, so we go and get them to do it. And then we explain, and then bit by bit, they'll be like, oh, I understand how this all works together.
Very good. And obviously, I know there's within StudioHawk, there's a big sort of drive at the moment for this relocation opportunities in there as well. Like, talk to me about, I know you've gone the other way, i.e. The other side of the world, back to here, but how, I guess, how's that come about? And like, if you could tell the listeners a bit more around sort of how that might look for someone who could be interested in that move as well.
Yeah, so in Australia, we're looking for UK SEO specialists or senior SEO specialists to move to Australia, to be part of that team and be a real leader. I think the UK market has some really good SEOs that have worked on bigger and more complex accounts that we're looking for to move to Australia, where the weather's better. You've got a bigger and vibrant team. We've got Melbourne and Sydney offices as well. And you'd be joining one of the largest SEO agencies in the country. So that's why we're looking for UK specialists to go over there and join, because of those the experience, the intangibles, and the clientele and some of the stuff they've had to deal with bigger accounts basically over here.
Love that. It's been quite successful so far, right? In terms of what Lawrence has talked about over the last sort of few hires have been really successful, but there's a number more in the pipeline now, I believe.
Yes, I think we've hired 4, and I'll be looking to continually add to that, middle and senior level, I would say.
Love that. Okay, good. Okay, and in terms of your advice, now you've obviously grown and growing your business. If you were looking to give a company advice about when they're looking to scale their workforce, or looking to bring people into business, so what would you say are your biggest learns you've had and things you would pass on to someone who may be at that sort of time looking to make that jump?
People may get scared off by hiring because they're like, I have to pay another wage, or I won't have time to train. Make that time. So figure out a core list of things that you want them to do, and over 3, 6, or first 2 weeks, 3 months, 6 months, so forth. Try and get your handle on a progression pathway. It's what I'm developing at the moment here in the UK, because time does fly, and people who have been with you for 6, 12, 18 months, before you know it, it's 2, 3 years, and they're asking like, okay, what's next? So you have to come up with that. So progression pathway, a plan, a basic organizational chart. Like, you're not going to have all these roles right now at a 2, 3, 4 person company, but try and game plan as to like, okay, if we were to be at 10 people, what does that look like? If we were to be at 15 people, what does that look like? And then you can put those wheels in motion with your people and go, hey, in the next 12, 18, 24 months, the business will, our goal is to grow the business by X amount, and here are some of the roles that we think the business needs. And then you can start to feel out your team and be like, is this something you're interested in, and grow your people if you really back them in and they love a challenge. So progression pathways, plan for onboarding in the first 6 months so that they have that structure, because people just need structure. And the other one is hire based off your core values. If you're picking from who is less bad, don't hire. I've made that mistake. Just do the right thing. I laugh because we hear that, they're the best of a bad bunch, I took them on, sort of thing, and there's usually a recipe for disaster, as you say, because you're not actually finding the best for what you need for that role. And it's just a tough one, isn't it? Yeah, it's always tough hiring people, because you're like, oh, this is my business, and I'm letting someone new in, and can I relinquish control? And oh no, I'm going to have to look after them, sort of thing. But if you do that planning, if you base sort of core values and you do that planning as best you can, it'll make it a bit easier. Yes, like you might cop the short-term hit financially, like, oh, I'm hiring a new person or whatnot, but if you put the structure in place and give and back them in, and don't be a micromanager, they'll reward you in kind. So that's how it's worked out for us, and I hope it continues to work out. And
Love that.
That's probably the advice I would give.
Love that. Okay, good. And I think you've probably discussed it maybe in this last answer, but if you were given 3 key takeaways from scaling the workforce effectively and maintaining that culture, Because that sounds like that is the biggest thing that we're getting across from StudioHawk is culture is always the heart of everything you do, and you've got to make sure you're up for that challenge as well, right? So what would you say are your main takeaways, if you will?
I think always supporting your team as best you can, even if it's like you and like two other people, being there for your team, throwing them in the deep end, but then providing that ring of support so you can see what they're made of, and giving them those opportunities. Making like it might be hard sometimes to relinquish control because you're used to doing it or you like doing it, but giving them that sort of authority and being able to give them that responsibility of doing some of those things, they should appreciate and they should love and take that on. So that's one. Like I said, I want, if people are going to be spending 8 hours a day here, 5 days a week, I want them to feel value for what they do.
Yeah.
So being able to understand how important their work is and being able to take confidence from that, rather than just coming in, day out, doing the same thing and then not understanding how valuable their contribution is to the overall business.
Yeah.
So that's something I'm trying to work on and get better at, whether that's like detailing how well their impact is on clients and how well maybe the financials are. Hey, the work that you did has helped us bring in 3 extra clients. Great. Like being able to make them be aware of that so they sort of see the bigger picture and see what, because everyone just wants to feel a part of something. So if they can, and get appreciation and a pat on the back. So if you're telling them as an owner how valuable their contributions are, and being able to, they should be able to take confidence in that and be willing to do more, or it'll at least give them a bit of a spur on to continue to do good work. Then your usual things, it's not life isn't all about work. So being able to have fun with it, being able to enjoy it with the people that are in the business, go out for team events, do some cool stuff. I don't know, go-karting, do something different. Like for us, we tend to go on like walks daily and things like that. Just get out of the office because we're sitting at the computer all day. Just things like that, just break up the day. And the other thing would be make sure you have HR in place, whether that's a HR consultant, which are relatively cheap and it gives you a sounding board and advice. Talk to them and get some things in place before you really start to scale it up, which is what I've done. And being able to have that, and as an owner, you can't know everything. So being able to have that soundboard and advice there to be like, am I doing the right thing here? What about these contracts? What about these policies? Just so you're essentially covering yourself, and there's confidence, or there should be confidence within the staff to be like, okay, there's some actual legitimacy here when it comes to things like that.
Love that. Mate, it's been great. I mean, I really, really enjoyed this, and thank you so much. And I love what you guys do, and mate, you're just a cracking bloke as well. And I'm looking forward to having a beer or two when you're up in a 6 weeks' time, roughly, isn't it? And actually, I'll see you in a few weeks at your next event as well.
Thank you, mate. No, I appreciate it. Thanks for the time. Thanks for being, one of the early members of the podcast, and we look forward to seeing this grow. So well done, mate.
Yeah, thank you. And mate, just thank you so much. And look forward to catching up again soon.
Awesome. Thanks, Luke.
Legend.
Cheers.